Disney villain songs. Some of them are regarded as timeless masterpieces. Others are relatively obscure. And some of them are, this is the thanks I get. No matter where the villain song falls on this spectrum, today we are going to rank it. But first, there are a few rules for this list. First, the song has to be from a theatrically released Disney animated film. I apologize to all the Descendants fans watching this video, but I will not be including all 600 of those songs. Nor will I be including songs from the direct-to-DVD sequels or from TV shows like Phineas and Ferb. And because I know I'm gonna get some comments about it, no, I'm not counting Disney Pixar songs either. Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into the video. Congratulations, Lady and the Tramp. You win the award for the worst Disney villain song. The Siamese Cat song just isn't a great song to begin with. But the fact the song itself and the villains who sing it are riddled with offensive stereotypes certainly doesn't do it any favors. Honestly, I don't have much else to say about this one, and we have a ton of songs to get through, so let's move on. This song, like many of the early Disney villain songs, suffers from something I like to call being really boring. I listened to this song like 5 times while preparing for this video, and I still can't think of anything interesting to say about it. The tune isn't memorable, and the song and its lyrics didn't really sell me on the idea that Madame Mim is this super evil, powerful sorceress. I loved the character of Captain Hook as a kid, which is why I wish he had a real villain song. The closest thing we get to that is the elegant Captain Hook. I'm gonna be honest, for a villain as delightfully bombastic as Captain Hook, it leaves a little to be desired. If you're looking for a Captain Hook song that's actually good, go check out The Frigate That Flies from the Tinkerbell movie, The Pirate Fairy. I discovered that song when I was 12, and you know what? I'm not ashamed to admit that it slaps, okay? Also, Captain Hook is played by Tom Hiddleston in this movie. How? Why? Hi Diddledy Dee isn't super memorable, and it's kinda short, but I'd say it's better than Mad Madam Web and the cringe cat song. And fun fact, this song was actually the very first Disney villain song, so it gets some bonus points for that. We have yet another boring villain song. I honestly wasn't gonna include it because it isn't even sung by the villain of the movie, but when I was doing research into all of the Disney villain songs, this one kept cropping up. It's a fine song, but not what I think of when I think of a Disney villain song. So I guess I'll just put it here at number 28. I don't really like this song. It actually used to scare me as a kid, but maybe that was the goal. It is a villain song after all. I will give it this. It does a great job of being creepy, so I guess it's got that going for it. But it's definitely the weaker of the 2 villain songs in the Jungle Book. The World's Greatest Criminal Mind feels like the stereotypical villain song my brain would think of if it was told to think of a traditional villain song. There's not much to note here. It's got a bunch of random guys singing along with the main bad guy. It does a good job of demonstrating how evil Ratigan is, though. I mean, in the middle of the song, he feeds one of his cronies to a cat, so that's cool. The Backson is another one of these villain songs that isn't sung by the villain themselves. In this case, Mr. Owl Guy is singing about an imaginary monster that doesn't exist. I mean, it's Winnie the Pooh. No one was expecting a crazy villain to come out of this movie, but for what it is, the song is cute and it gets the job done, but I definitely won't be humming it anytime soon. This song is barely a villain song. The Gospel Truth 2 is less than a minute long, but it does an effective job of introducing Hades, and it features the Muses, so I'd say it earns its spot above all the previous songs on this list. While the song itself is nothing special, it does a phenomenal job of showing how ruthless the Queen of Hearts is. I also found it funny how nonchalant everyone is about these guys losing their heads. This song isn't super deep or incredibly interesting, but it's effective. This song is above all the previous villain songs simply because it gave us this scene of Winnie the Pooh astral projecting. Okay, but the actual song itself is pretty good. It's definitely aided by the insane visuals that accompany it in the film. It's also sad to watch Winnie the Pooh endure a spooky nightmare. Leave my man alone! He did nothing wrong! I'll be honest, I have never been a huge fan of The Nightmare Before Christmas, but I can respect it. The song Kidnap the Sandy Claus personally isn't my cup of tea, but it isn't horrible. I do prefer another villain song from this movie over this one, but I'll talk about it when I get to it. While the title of this song might fool you into thinking that the song is a Minecraft parody, this song is actually just an extremely average villain song from Pocahontas. I guess I like the double meaning of the words mine, mine, mine. Get it? Because they're mining for riches, but also the bad guy's selfish. It's so clever. It's a clever song. It's really smart. Get it? Mine, mine, mine. All right, next song. This is the thanks I get. What can I say about this song that I haven't already said? I guess I'll say that while This Is the Thanks I Get is catchy, the lyrics aren't great, and the song doesn't offer much substance. If you want to hear more of my in-depth thoughts on this song, I'll link to the videos where I talk about it in the description. I did not know that this song existed, but you know what? It isn't half bad. This is the second villain song from The Great Mouse Detective, but unlike the other song that I can't remember the name of, this one is pretty memorable. It isn't the greatest song ever written, but it's fun, and it deserves its spot at number 18. Yodel adel edel idle yodel adel edel Yodel adel edel idle ooh. Oh my gosh. I know you might think that this song has no business being this high on this list, but hear me out. This man's yodeling is legitimately impressive. I don't know how they did it, but this song has been stuck in my head ever since I started researching for this video. The whole song is just a party. It's without a doubt the highlight of Home on the Range, which I guess isn't saying that much. Like I alluded to before, this is the stronger of the two villain songs in The Nightmare Before Christmas. Although the song is mostly played for laughs, Oogie Boogie's song manages to be genuinely unsettling at times. Danny Elfman does a great job of using his song to convey the boogeyman's zany personality. And even though, like I said before, I'm not a huge Nightmare Before Christmas fan, even I have to admit, this song and its villain are pretty good. At this point, it's common knowledge that Disney's Pocahontas isn't historically accurate. For this reason, the film and its villain song Savages have come under scrutiny in recent years, with some saying that the song Savages is offensive, citing lines like, "They're not like you and me, which means they must be evil," and "Savages, savages, barely even human." And I agree, those lines are offensive and untrue, but that's kind of the point. The purpose of this song is to showcase the harm that prejudice and racism can cause. Now, does the song do a good job of conveying this message? That's up for you to decide. I'd argue that it could have been done better. No matter what your thoughts are on Disney's Pocahontas, it's clear what Disney was attempting to do, even if the results ended up being overly simplistic, misguided, and a little ham-fisted. I have to admit, I'm a sucker for a good reprise, especially when a song sung by the heroes is given to the villain. It also makes sense in the context of the film. The original Prince Ali was essentially Aladdin flexing on everyone and trying to prove to Jasmine that he's this really cool, special guy. This reprise is essentially Jafar doing the same thing. It also makes sense that the song used to cover up Aladdin's true identity would reappear when it's revealed he's been lying. The main reason this song doesn't rank higher is because it isn't a full original song like every other villain song above it, so I didn't feel like I could justify putting it anywhere higher than 14th place. Why is the Headless Horseman song from Ichabod Crane so good? Like, this song is unironically fire. Yeah, sure, the song shows its age a little bit because it was released in 1949, but the fact it's sung by the greatest Disney character of all time, Brom Bones, more than makes up for it. Listen here, Gaston. Brom Bones walked so you could run. You hear me? But yeah, listen to this song, add it to your playlist. This song deserves to be a Halloween staple. I Wanna Be Like You is the best villain song in the Jungle Book. I guess that isn't saying too much, seeing as the only competition is Trust in Me, but I'm not lying when I say this song is good. It's upbeat, it's catchy, it's just an all-around good time. I love how the song starts out seemingly innocent and then suddenly shifts to show King Louis's true intentions. Forgive me for bringing up Wish again, but I feel like this song succeeds where This Is the Thanks I Get failed. Much like this song, This Is the Thanks I Get also attempted to be a fun and upbeat villain song that grew into something more sinister, but its weak lyrics and boring production ultimately led to the song leaving little impact. How on earth is this monkey a more nuanced villain than Disney's latest one? Alright, I have to admit, I have some bias when it comes to Les Poissons. When I was in 8th grade, I played the chef in my middle school's production of The Little Mermaid. And ever since then, I've held a fondness for this comically evil cook and his song, which is why I will never forgive the live-action Little Mermaid for cutting it. Okay, I will admit, I don't know how they would have shown stuff like this in live action without absolutely traumatizing children. I mean, the animated version is already pretty gruesome. Okay, but what makes this song worthy of being this high on my list? It's unironically fire, that's why! The instrumental goes along perfectly with Chef Louis' singing and actions. It's also hilarious how the song morphs into Jacques Offenbach's Orpheus in the Underworld Overture to mirror the insanity happening on screen. Side note, am I the only one who thinks Jacques Offenbach looks like Daniel Radcliffe? Daniel, if you're watching this, I know you just did that biopic with Weird Al, but I've got another musician for you to portray. Also, another side note, the fact this song is called Orpheus in the Underworld Overture is hilarious to me. Jacques looked at hell and thought to himself, yeah, it probably sounds like this. Alright, we're finally entering the top 10, and at number 10 we have Cruella de Vil. This song is just iconic. It isn't super flashy production-wise, the instrumentation is pretty basic, but the melody is an earworm, and I find myself humming the chorus often. Okay, some of you might be thinking, Snuff Out the Light? I've never heard that song. Well, I hadn't heard it either before making this video. This song was actually supposed to be sung by Yzma in The Emperor's New Groove, but it was cut from the final film. It's a shame because the song is unironically one of my favorite Disney villain songs. It has a great instrumental and a killer chorus. If you haven't heard it, I highly recommend you go check it out after this video. I'll have a link to this full song along with all the other music I've talked about in this video in the description below. Shiny is fantastic. It reminds me of Les Poissons solely because it's a villain song that isn't sung by the main villain of the movie. However, this one has a leg up on Les Poissons because the song actually moves the story forward. It strikes a great balance of being both funny and emotional. Tamatoa wounds Maui physically, and his words wound him internally. And I think that's the mark of a great villain song. I love the mob song from Beauty and the Beast. In this song, Gaston, a charismatic person with evil, self-serving intentions, manages to prey on fear and outrage in order to get his fellow villagers to engage in violence. Despite the fact this song and the movie it's from came out in 1991, the message of this song is scarily relevant to today. This goes without saying, but it has an amazing melody and awesome instrumentation. I love the nods to the Jaws theme that crop up throughout the song. It subtly tells the audience that the true monster of this story isn't the beast, it's Gaston and his fear-mongering. Overall, it's just a culturally relevant banger, and it's deserving of all the praise it gets. Mother Knows Best is severely underrated. This song and its reprise both show just how manipulative the character of Mother Gothel is. Not only is the tune an absolute bop, the lyrics are phenomenal. She starts out the song by giving Rapunzel a bunch of reasons why the outside world is dangerous. Ruffians, thugs, poison ivy, quicksand. But as the song progresses, those reasons start to become more and more of a personal attack on Rapunzel herself. She tells Rapunzel that she's sloppy, underdressed, immature, clumsy, gullible, naive, positively grubby, ditzy. Mother Knows Best manages to be a great villain song and also a good commentary on the tactics abusers use to keep their victims in line. The second Friends on the Other Side made its debut in 2009's Princess and the Frog, it instantly became a contender for the best Disney villain song. This song is creepy, it's catchy, it's funny, charming, and threatening all at the same time. It is a villain song that perfectly matches the character it's attached to. It goes in a ton of directions, but manages to make everything it throws at you feel cohesive. My favorite part of the song has to be, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" Dr. Facilier's delivery of that line is just iconic. The ominous voices going, bum 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 in the background also just elevate the entire thing. I also think the miniature reprise at the end of the film that plays as the Shadow Man gets dragged to his grave is just a cherry on top. Like the man it's named after, the song Gaston needs no introduction. This song is in your face, it's as big as Gaston himself, and it's just a banger all the way through. I especially love the bridge where Gaston talks about how many eggs he eats. According to the song, he eats 60 eggs for breakfast every single day. I did the math for how many eggs he eats every year, assuming he only eats them for breakfast, and the total comes out to 21,900 eggs. Compare that to the average person who eats 279 eggs a year, and you'll find that Gaston is eating more than 75 times that amount. How does this village have any eggs left over after Gaston's made his morning omelet? I'm sorry, where was I? Oh well, you get it. The song is good. Let's move on to the top 3. Ursula is one of my favorite Disney villains, and I think one of the main reasons for that is her song Poor Unfortunate Souls. This song is one of the quintessential Disney villain songs. It is everything that a Disney villain song should be. It's manipulative, it's extravagant, it's dramatic, top it all off with an iconic melody that ties everything together, and you have yourself a standout song in a movie chock full of standout songs. I could gush about it more, but maybe I'll save that for a future video. Okay, let's be honest. You all knew that Be Prepared was gonna be towards the top of the list before you even clicked on the video. This song is one of the first songs that comes to anyone's mind when the topic of Disney songs comes up, let alone Disney villain songs, and rightfully so. Everything from Jeremy Irons' performance to the visuals on screen is peak Disney. It is a near perfect song. How they managed to screw it up so badly in the live action Lion King is beyond me. You know what? Let's just pretend that doesn't exist and move on to the #1 Disney villain song. Hellfire is a masterpiece visually and sonically. The church bells, the haunting choir, the gothic atmosphere are all perfect. When you compare the themes in this song to other Disney villain songs, it's almost jarring to see how far Disney was willing to go with this song. Frollo's primary motivator in this song isn't gaining wealth or taking over the world or whatever, it's lust. Now that motivation in of itself isn't super unique, not even for Disney. I mean, Jafar and Gaston both also want to get the girl. But what does end up making this song so unique is how hard Disney was willing to lean into it. I mean, this song starts in a cathedral with the villain praying to God about how righteous and virtuous he is, only to later admit that he can't control his desires for a girl, to the point he's willing to burn Paris to the ground. The song is a powerful reminder that one must take ownership of their own mistakes. Frollo's downfall is ultimately due to his own stubbornness, hubris, and unwillingness to accept the fact that he's to blame for his sinful behavior. Repeatedly in the song he says, "It's not my fault. I'm not to blame.
It's not my fault. If in God's plan, he made the devil so much stronger than a man."
He blames his circumstances, he blames fate, heck, he even blames Esmeralda herself. I could go into every single reason why Hellfire deserves the #1 spot on this list, but then we'd be here all day. Just go listen to the song and see for yourself how masterful it is. Just don't hype it up too much, otherwise Disney's gonna catch on to us and put out a live-action remake of The Hunchback of Notre Dame and butcher this song in the same way they butchered Be Prepared. Anyway, that's the video. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel and watch some of my other Disney videos. Alright, see you next time.